Both my 8-year-old daughter Ainsley and my 6-year-old son Landon have a Pinewood Derby competition coming up next weekend. Now, I've watched countless videos on how to make these things as sleek and as fast as possible. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys the tools and parts that I used and how my kids and I worked together to make 2 really fast cars. Let's get into it. And later we raced my buddy's custom CNC Pinewood Derby car made from aerospace grade machines. All right, so let's talk about the parts. First was sandpaper. I got 400 grit, 600 grit, 800 grit, 1000 grit, 1500 grit, 2000 grit, 3000 grit, and just because I had it, 5000 grit. You also will want your Pinewood Derby kit, which comes with the block, your 4 wheels, and your 4 nails. You're gonna want a file to get the marks off of the nails, some graphite to make everything go really fast, some tungsten weights to get that thing right at 5 ounces so it's as heavy as possible, some drill bits. You might need a multi-tool to deepen the axles on one side so this thing rides on 3 wheels instead of 4, i.e. less friction, go faster. And then you're probably gonna wanna have some basic power tools to finish this thing off. Now, I've drawn a line on my block about the shape that I want to cut it. Most people use a bandsaw. I don't have a bandsaw. It's one of those things I just have to buy one day. But I do have a miter saw. And I'm just going to draw my line. It's going to be a straight line. I'm going to use my miter saw very carefully to cut this block down to the shape that I want. In addition to that, I am going to be using a power drill. The drill will be to drill holes in the top of the block when I'm done so that I can install my tungsten cylindrical weights. Everything stays nice and flush and, more importantly, aerodynamic. And ultimately, once I cut this thing down to size, I do have an orbital palm sander that I'm going to use to finish everything off nice and smooth. And because I'm pretty OCD, I have everything neatly laid out so each kid knows what side is theirs and there's no fighting over parts. But most importantly, I need my helpers. All right, which one of you guys is going to build the fastest car?
Me.
You?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
You guys excited to learn though?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to learn all about stuff. You ready?
Yes.
All right, let's get going. All right, you guys ready to start?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right, guys, well, the first thing we have to do is, like I said, we're going to cut the block down to shape. I'm not going to let the Munchkins do that just because they shouldn't be using a miter saw. All right, we got both of them cut down to size. What do you think? Yeah? All right, so the next thing we have to do, guys, is we are going to notch off a little bit of front portion right there. And then the kiddos are going to take the sander, and you guys are going to smooth out everything. You're going to round off the front edge so it's more aerodynamic, all right?
Wow.
All right, we got to round that off now with the orbital sander. All right, Ainsley's going first. She's going to sand her whole block down and make it nice and round it off at the front for aerodynamics. Get after it. All right, it's Lando's turn. You ready, bud?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, Ainsley, so the next thing we have to do is these little nails are going to be our axles in our Pinewood Derby car, but they have little ridges on top of them. And we'll get really close to the camera so you guys can see it, but those machining marks, well, those keep it from being really smooth. See those little marks? Okay. Now we're going to get rid of these through a process of using a drill, a file, and all that sandpaper we showed you earlier, all right? Now, the thing about sandpaper, Ainsley, what did Daddy tell you earlier? About the lower the number, what?
The rougher it is.
The rougher it is, the more abrasive it is. So we've got 400 to start all the way up to 5,000. And then we also have some metal polish for my car buddies out there. This is Adams Metal Polish. Works great. We're going to make these things as slippery as possible. And then we're going to throw some graphite on them. They could go real fast. All right, Ainsley. So we're going to get Daddy's drill. And we're going to put just the tip of the nail into the drill. And we're going to tighten it down. So I'm going to hold this drill down. You're going to get the file. You're going to hold the file against that so it spins really fast and gets rid of those ridges, okay? Here we go. All right, good job. And we will show the good people on the camera that the ridges, that the ridges are now gone. All right, you guys can see the ridges are gone. Now we're gonna get the sandpaper and we're gonna make that very smooth. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do after we got the ridges off of our nail, which is again our axle, we are gonna get all 8 stages of our sandpaper. Ainsley brought me down a glass of water right here. You're gonna dip this in your water. I'm going to spin the nail in the drill again. Ainsley's gonna take this. She's gonna hold it and kind of go around the nail like that while it's going really fast. We're gonna go from 400 grit up to 5,000 grit. We're gonna get our metal polish, then we should be done, and these things should be super smooth and super shiny. You ready? Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, so our nail, Ainsley, is pretty smooth, right? Yes. Now we are going to get our metal polish one. We're going to get a sneaky munchkin. We're going to get a microfiber. It's a dirty microfiber, but, you know, we're just going to get dirtier anyway. And then once we get done that, we're going to get some metal polish too. And this thing should be silky smooth. And then we just have, what, 7 more to go? 7 more to go between the two cars. It's going to take a little bit of time. All right. And what do you think? Touch it. Is it smooth?
Feels pretty smooth.
Pretty smooth? All right.
Is it gonna spin?
Just a little bit. I'll go slow. How's that? Hey, high five. And no Pinewood car would be complete without a custom design courtesy of my kids. While they were doing this, my wife and I asked them what they were going to name their cars. My son had an absolutely hilarious name, Monster Flasher. You can guess the jokes that came from that. My daughter, on the other hand, had a pretty appropriate name for her car, Rainbow Road. I think they both did a great job. I used a bend brake to add about 2.5 degrees to each nail. More on that later. I found these tungsten weights right on Amazon, and I also had a drill bit that was the exact same size, which made for countersinking these into the body of the car really easy. I threw everything onto the scale just to make sure I was right at 5 ounces. Then it was time to start installing the weights. So we started drilling some holes at about 3/4 of an inch right in front of that rear axle line. Now I had no rhyme or reason for how I did these. I did 3 across and then I did 2 behind, put as much of the weight towards the back of the car as possible. I used my multi-tool to make sure that one of the 4 wheels would be off the ground. Liquid lubrications aren't allowed in our league, so we went ahead and put graphite in all 8 of our wheels before we installed them onto the cars. They make specific tools to press the nails into the Pinewood Derby cars, but I found them a little pricey and honestly unnecessary. Pinewood is pretty soft and I was able to push them in by hand or by using a piece of wood, and then I just used a flathead screwdriver to press the nails in firmly. You'll see this again in a minute, but one of the nice things about those bent axles I referred to earlier is that you can get your needle nose pliers and spin the wheel ever so slightly to get your alignment just right. Both cars wanted to steer left pretty severely when we first pushed them, but like I said, a couple quick turns of those nails and we got the alignment just right. And here's the final product. You want your nails bent just enough so that your rear wheels are on a slight angle but don't rub the body of the car, and you'll also want to keep one of your front wheels off the ground. And well, after all of that hard work, the only thing left to do was race.
3, 2, 1.
My son's car went first, and as you'll see in these races, he placed anywhere from 2nd to 4th place. While I don't want to make excuses, when I got the car back later that day, I did notice the rear wheel was rubbing the body. I think something happened during the races. But it didn't really matter, because the next thing on the track was one of the most wild things that I've ever seen in a Pinewood Derby event. This is a custom CNC'd Pinewood Derby car that my buddy made using his company's aerospace grade CNC machines priced at around $500,000. Effectively, with all the time, effort, and machining that went into this car, it's worth about $10,000. And let me just go ahead and say, this thing was fast. It beat every kid and every adult that had raced all day long and set a new fast time for the entire day. But we hadn't lost all hope yet because my daughter's car was yet to race, and this thing was fast. so fast that it set a new record.
Oh, and a new record. Go on, race.
This one was a bit close for comfort,
Go on, race.
but she actually wound up going undefeated every heat.
First place speed
And being undefeated and with an average time of 3.34, Rainbow Road, my daughter's car, won first place. Well done, Ainsley. But there was still one thing left to do. Could our basement build Pinewood Derby car beat a $10,000 custom CNC car built with aerospace grade machinery? You guys tell me. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumb up, please comment below, and please consider subscribing. Until we see you again, get in the gym, take care of yourselves, and live your dream. We'll catch you next time.
Let's see this one.